And Greta Thunberg is trying to remain relevant through all of this. Of course she is, because if she becomes irrelevant and she loses her status and she loses her followers and her celebrityhood, if that's what you want to call it, well, then she loses her voice. Because let's face it, we live in a world where if you're rich and famous, then, well, your voice matters. But now she's trying to say that we need to fight climate crisis and pandemic simultaneously. How do we do that without vehicles, without planes? How do we do that without trains, without boats, without everything that we need that you're trying to get rid of? I mean, really, honestly, what Greta Thunberg wants, she wanted us to flip a switch and end all fossil fuels, right? So essentially what Greta Thunberg wants is exactly what we're having right now, only to the power of 10, 10 times worse, meaning no driving anywhere. You walk or you use a bicycle, no shipments of anything that can't be carried by horseback or, I don't know, but I'm assuming they don't want cows or horses either because, well, they fart, and we know that that's a major contribution to global warming. So, I mean, what is the solution, Greta? How do we fight both? How do we even fight the climate crisis in the first place? We don't. We can't. How do you do it? We don't have any kind of a replacement. And if we do, you're suggesting millions of people are gonna die. But let's get into it. The world needs to tackle this thing going around the world and climate change simultaneously and guard against people who try to use the current crisis to delay action on cutting carbon emissions, Greta Thunberg has urged. Okay, how? How are you going to have this sick group of people over here and they need to get this medicine and you can't drive it to them? How do we do that? How do we distribute it? Do we bring back the old mail system, the Pony Express, and we have drivers with satchels full of medication and they'll just have horse after horse after horse? Well, that would take forever. The Swedish climate change activist who revealed last week that she and her father are likely to have had the disease, likely, but not sure, said the response to the outbreak revealed society's shortcomings. Yes, we're too dependent on China, as well as our ability to change in the face of crisis. Yes, because we're still too indebted to China. We're still too dependent on China. But had also proved that we are able to act fast. Yes, because hopefully we can get off China's tit. One virus can wipe out the entire economy in a matter of weeks and shut down societies. Then that is proof that our societies are not very resilient. We're only resilient because of the things we have. If this thing going around the world right now had happened 70 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, the outcome would have been drastically different, I assure you. It would have been devastating. It's only because we are resilient and only because we have the things today and the technology that we have today that this is not devastating us the way that it could have been. It also shows that once again we are in an emergency. We can act and we can change our behavior quickly, she said in a conversation on New York Scientist's Big Interview podcast. You're missing the point, Greta. You're missing the point. Some politicians have called for climate action to be put on hold while governments grapple with the coronavirus and with the, damn it, I said the word, and the Czech Republic's Prime Minister Andrej Babis saying the European Union should forget about the Green New Deal now. And they should! What good is getting rid of all emissions going to do us right now at the moment? What good is it going to do? Because it can sure do a lot of harm, for sure. But what good is it going to do for us to split our resources between the two? And tackling one will actually make the other worse. Transportation, jobs, how are we going to do it? What are we going to do? We're suffering right now, and you're saying we need to go further down this rabbit hole? No, thank you, Greta. Shut up. Thank you very much. Thunberg said, people will try to use this emergency as an excuse not to act on climate change and that we have to be very careful for. She said she understood the emergency the world was facing now, but it wasn't an excuse to shelve actions on emissions. It is! And it's not an excuse, it's an absolute reason. People don't want to hear about the climate crisis now. No, we don't. Shut up, Greta, please. I completely understand that. No, you don't, because you're still talking. But we have to make sure that it is not forgotten. It's not forgotten. But right now we got bigger fish to fry. We need to treat both of these crises at the same time because the climate crisis will not go away, she said. Neither will COVID. It ain't going anywhere. The campaigner and the Fridays for Future movement, which she kickstarted with her first school strike in 2018. Yes, the kids get a day off school just because event, have made their weekly protests virtual during the pandemic. Students have been good at staying off the streets, said Thunberg, and although young people tend to have milder symptoms of the disease, we will stand in solidarity with those in risk groups, and I think that is a very beautiful thing. Okay, thank you for that, at least. Thunberg has had mild symptoms of COVID. Not sure it was COVID. There was no test that showed it was COVID. We don't know if it was or not. It could have been the flu, could have been a cold, could have been allergies, could have been with some tiredness and a cough, but said that the more intense ones that her father experienced fit with the symptoms of the illness exactly. Neither have been tested, as Sweden is only testing the most severe cases. Well, at least we didn't get something where she was tested and nobody else was. Look, Thunberg, I know you're trying to remain relevant through this whole thing, but just stop. Stop. You're doing your cause more harm than good because now you look like complete idiots. You look like, I don't know, selfish, for one. Anyways, how do we fight both at the same time? How do we do it? I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off my rocker. If one of you can see it and one of you can explain to me, hey, we do this and this and this and this. Okay, and we're not pulling resources away from this thing going on around the world, and we're not affecting being able to get medications to people, and people being able to get to the hospital, and people being able to get to work, and things like that? Really? It's not going to affect any of that? I'd like to see that. Anyways, that's what I got for you on this one, and Greta, just please. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you guys.